Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So I'm just gonna get straight into the video and you're just gonna hear me talk over the whole entire thing. But unfortunately, I did do a lot of videos like this. I didn't realize the camera had changed the setting, so I apologize. A lot of it will be like this, but you can still see what's happening, which is good. But I'm in my pajamas, so please ignore that fact. But anyway, we are creating chow mein first, so that was an Asian cabbage that I was cutting up. I'm just going to chuck in some mince into this pan. I'm going to use this pan for everything. I decided I'm going to just take it 1 meal at a time and just bulk cook that meal. And since this pan is a lot bigger than my average pans just for the stove, I thought I would use this. So I just cut up all the cabbage, popped it into a bowl so I could just keep cutting more. I definitely found that focusing just on 1 meal at a time, especially with 3 kids home and having a 9-month-old, is a lot easier, and it somehow just became really like a lot less stressful than the first time that I did all this bulk cooking. So I definitely highly recommend, if you have no kids, then yeah, go ahead, multitask, go for it, but just get your biggest pan that you can cook in and just bulk cook 1 meal at a time, because when I bulk cooked this one, I had to do it twice. I had 2 kilos worth of mince in the pan and at a time. Basically, you're just going to get some chicken stock ready and then cut up your onions. So depending on how much you plan on sort of making, depends on how much you need to cut up. I believe I cut up 1 large onion. I had an extremely large onion, so I thought, oh, that might be enough. But I did 1 onion for each 2 kilos worth of meat. So here's me cooking out the meat. Wow, I really did not realize this camera setting was on the wrong one. So I really do apologize for this, but at least you can see how that I make it. So basically you're just going to brown up your mince. And then once that is browned up, you're going to add your onion and then leave that to cook for a little bit longer. Add in your chicken stock, then add in these peas and let them cook just for a little minute, and then add in your Chinese cabbage. Once that sort of all cooks down, that's when you're going to add a little sprinkle of curry powder. Now, how much you add just depends on how much you like your curry powder, strong or weak. But I don't sprinkle too much. I probably do about 2 to 3 maybe tablespoons. I also cook up rice to mix throughout this meal. Now that it is mixed all together, you're just going to sort of let it sort of savor in the chicken stock for a little bit. Then serve it up how you like. So I got 5 family meals and 1 lunch for hubby, so he absolutely loves this meal. So I tried to get as much meals as I could out of it, which is really good because it's probably the only one that I got that many meals out of. Next up, we are going to make beef stroganoff. So you just need oil of your choosing, pop it in the pan, pop your beef strips in, and start preparing your ingredients while the meat browns up. So I'm just going to chop up, I think it was maybe 2 onions that I chopped up in the end. Then I'm just going to pop them into a bowl, set aside for a minute. Then I'm going to chop up some mushrooms. Now, I don't know if I'm strange, but this is how I grew up sort of doing it. But I take out the little stalk and then I actually peel the tops of the mushroom off. I realize I'm putting it in my onion bowl. I do fix that up later, but some people say that you got to keep the skin part on the outside on it because that's where all the flavor is. That could be very true, but now that I've done that since I was little, I find it gross to leave on the skin. So I always peel it off, and I'm going to use up this whole entire tub of mushroom for this meal because I think I am using about 2 kilos worth of meat, and I'm going to bulk cook this and try and get as many meals out of it as I can. Now I just need to quickly peel some potatoes to put as the side for the beef stroganoff. I did not realize just how dirty these potatoes were, so I had to take out that water, just give them a good old clean. There was chunks of dirt all over them, probably the dirtiest ones I've had, but Anyway, I cooked up a bunch of potatoes to cover the amount of meals that I needed. Okay, our meat is nice and browned up. So now we're probably going to just take this out for now. Then we're going to start sort of the sauce for the beef stroganoff. So first up, I'm going to just pop in my onion and then also my mushrooms. Just let that marinate a little bit with some butter. And once that's sort of ready to go, we'll do the next steps. All right, this is starting to look very nice. Sort of that little bit of a caramelization happening there. And then I'm just going to add in my cream. So this is 600 ml of cream. Add the whole thing in. One of the recipes told me to add bay leaves. I decided I'd just put a couple of little ones in. I think I ended up taking 1 or 2 out, but I've sort of just like mixed it in with it. Definitely not something that I've actually ever done with my beef stroganoff before, but I am wanting to try learn a different beef stroganoff. I have just added in a little bit of cornstarch to just try and thicken up the cream a little bit. I think I ended up adding like 120 ml worth of cream because I was doubling the recipe and I did have quite a lot of meat there, but the end result, it actually turned out really, really nice. There was just something that just wasn't stroganoff, and I don't know what, I believe probably I didn't have enough onion and mushroom mixed throughout this, but it was definitely delicious. Well, I only got 2 meals out of this, but I am going to add the mashed potato on top of this. So if you've seen me make my mashed potato in a previous video, basically I chop up potato, I chop up onion, and then I pop it all into the pot with some chicken stock and sort of let it marinate in that chicken stock. And I highly recommend trying this. I never had this as a child. My husband introduced me to it, and I'll never go back. I can't have mashed potato just plain the way I used to growing up now. Once again, I apologise for these camera angles, and the whole setting is just terrible, but that's my mashed potato for the top of my beef stroganoff, and it was delicious. I just add a bit of butter, bit of milk, mash it up, and it's done. Next up, we have, I think I'm doing sweet and sour chicken. I've never really made sweet and sour chicken before, and I am going to take the easy way out and use jars instead of making my own sauce today. I just wanted to make everything as easy as I could because I really just wasn't in the mood to do everything from scratch and make a huge mess in my kitchen. But firstly, I just chopped all the fat away, then I sort of halve it, like I thin out the chicken before I fully cut it up. Pop it in the pan, let it cook away. Not a lot to this one really, and then I just add in the jar, and later on I will cook rice or something fresh to go with this as well. Now when I chopped up that chicken, I chopped up the rest of the chicken ready for everything else I was going to make that day with chicken. Now this is a teriyaki sauce that I use to make my teriyaki chicken for my sushi rolls, but normally I make this particular one from scratch, but I really wanted to try this teriyaki sauce out and marinate it in with some brown sugar onto my chicken. But normally I make marinated chicken, pop it in the freezer, and then all I need to do is grill it on the night and cook up some rice. And it's so easy, so simple, and so delicious. But I thought I would just try this sauce out instead of making my own, just to see what it tastes like, because it was just so delicious, and I thought surely it would taste good with this as well. Okay, next up I am going to be making carbonara. So I'm just getting the pasta ready on the stove while I do everything else. So firstly I just cooked up the bacon in a little bit of oil and got that not fully cooked but almost there. Then I took it out, popped in some onion and mushrooms, and then added back in the bacon after. Then I popped in some cream, and just to make it nice and thick and cheesy, I added Parmesan cheese and just your normal tasty cheddar cheese into this. And you just need to mix it around a little bit, probably turn it down as I forgot to, and just sort of let the sauce thicken. I'll clearly added in the bacon after the cream, not before, but doesn't really matter. You're just trying to create that sauce first and then adding in sort of the rest of your ingredients. So everything was sort of looking good, smelling really great. So I added in the pasta, then mixed that around a little bit. Then I added in my chicken, and it most definitely, oh, looks delicious. I think I'm going to have this for dinner tonight now after watching this video. But I add in quite a lot of parmesan, quite a lot of tasty cheese. My husband loves cheese, so I definitely add in quite a lot of that and just gradually add in your noodles and pasta a bit more and more. I had two different kinds just because that's what I had left in the cupboard. I had the fettuccine and then the spaghetti noodles. Kids sort of love a little mixture of bit of noodles in there, so do what sort of suits you and your family, but just gradually add it all in. And there you have it, the last 3 meals that I made for the day. I think I ended up about 13 or 14 meals at the end of the day, but stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe.